Okay, guys, as promised, so here's the sort of the second screencast on multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary approaches. It's not going to be a long one, this, alright, so it's quite a brief concept because this one sort of involves you doing the majority of work. This is just to sort of introduce the difference between them. This is a little bit of work for you guys to sort of do and take away after this, which some of you may have done already, which is good. But if you haven't, alright, engage with that process, and again I will link it to where that fits in with your assessment. Okay, so multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary approaches when it wants to work. Okay, so in terms of multidisciplinary approaches then, alright, so a little bit of a definition and I'll talk around it as well. So several separate disciplines or professional specializations in an approach towards a given topic, subject or presented problem. So the key here, alright, is this several separate academic disciplines. Okay, so what happens is that all the different disciplines, they answer a question or they approach a given topic, alright, or person from their own discipline. Okay, so for example, a psychologist will look at just the psychological issues. A physiologist will just look at the physiological issues, for example, nutritional issues. Okay, so they're responsible in their separate academic disciplines to approach a topic or person or subject from their own discipline, and that's it. Okay, now with an interdisciplinary approach, what happens is that they combine. Okay, so this is a combination of two or more academic disciplines, alright, in a collaborative approach. So the difference here is that it's collaborative. Multidisciplinary, they answer and they address the issue from their own discipline. Well, in interdisciplinary, it's a collaborative approach. Okay, so you have the issue, or you have the subject in question, and you pool all your knowledge together around the table and try and come up with a collaborative answer or approach, alright, as a solution. Okay, so interdisciplinary is more collaborative, where you work with other disciplines to try and come up with a collaborative answer. Alright, and a nice sort of image to illustrate that, I guess, is this. Alright, so with a multidisciplinary approach, if you imagine these are all the different disciplines that are inherent to sport. Okay, so you could have psychologist, physiologist, nutritionist, strength and conditioning, medical, so lots of different disciplines. You've got the athlete in the middle, and they will answer and address each or the athlete's issue for their own discipline. So like I said, if they have a psychological issue, they will deal with a sports psychologist will deal with the psychology aspect. Okay, with interdisciplinary, as you can see, what happens is that all these disciplines come together. Alright, and what they do is they sit around the table, as it were, and they sort of pool their knowledge of their discipline to help try and answer or assist the athlete. Alright, but all the different disciplines are putting their ideas into one. Alright, in a collaborative effort. So that's the difference, is collaborative. Whereas in multidisciplinary, they just try to answer or address the subject or issue from their own perspective. Whereas in interdisciplinary, it is a collaborative attempt. Okay. So in terms of what we commonly see in sport, a lot of the time we see multidisciplinary. Okay, generally because of the accountability that's attached to it. You can see if something is going wrong, alright, through the various disciplines. Alright. But in terms of what disciplines we have in sport, alright, you should be aware of quite a few by now, and obviously you've done this if you were in during the lectures as well. But lots of, and again, they're not restricted to this list. There are a lot more different disciplines that are involved, but some of the ones that perhaps are maybe the more mainstream or popular, perhaps sports psychologists, biomechanists, performance analysts, alright, nutritionists, so on and so forth. You can probably even put teaching in there as well, because that links into your, for some of you, will link into your assessment in terms of where you'd like to progress. Okay, so this is just a bit of an example of different disciplines, but like I said, it's not restricted to this list. It does go wider. Okay, So bit of an example of what I wanted you guys to do before. Alright, was in groups of 3 and 4 choose 2 or 3 disciplines, alright, which is what obviously when you, if you were in, is what you would have engaged. Excuse me, what you would have engaged with. So I want you to research the roles and responsibilities of each of the disciplines. So I've sort of put an example one together of sports psychologists. Alright, so I've got what their role is, alright, who they are. So sports psychologists are licensed mental health professionals. Alright, I'm not going to read it all, but you get this sort of gist. And then looked at their responsibilities. So what actually are they responsible for in terms of supporting athletes or supporting the wider sporting environment. Alright, so you were asked to do this on 2 or 3 disciplines. Alright, the reason being is because that links into your assessment. And I'll show you in a second where that links in. So again, if you've done that, it become a lot easier for you. Alright, if you haven't, then you've got some work to do. And then you were sort of given scenarios of how different disciplines could help. So because you worked in groups, alright, you would have roles and responsibilities of all the disciplines that are involved, and then you were sort of asked to consider how they can help towards this scenario. Alright, so how the different disciplines perhaps could work together or work from their own discipline point of view, alright, in order to help answer or resolve the issues that are inherent to these scenarios. Okay, so I want you to give that a little go, alright, just so you can, try and see where the different disciplines fit in and how they can work to help resolve any issues with the athlete is experiencing, or issues within the sporting environment. So sort of pause the video, have a little look, alright, and if you can link in where the disciplines can help, alright, brilliant. Okay, so in terms of sort of where this fits in, alright, and where your particular disciplines and where this multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary approaches fits into your assessment. Alright, so if we go here, so after you've sort of done your effective practice, which is what I talked about in the last video, you introduce sort of what multidisciplinary and interdisciplinary approaches are. Alright, make sense of them, so it's not just copying the definition that I put in. Alright, what does the multidisciplinary approach mean, and what does an interdisciplinary approach mean? Introduce the different disciplines. Okay, so that's important. Introduce the different disciplines that are inherent to sport. Alright, and then your knowledge of different disciplines within sport. So the 2 or 3 different disciplines that you chose. Alright, so again, if I sort of link back to what we were talking about here. So for this part, the 2 or 3 different ones that you chose, so you should have sort of like 2 or 3 perhaps that look like this. Alright, what you would need to do is demonstrate knowledge on different disciplines. So you could pick 2 or 3 and demonstrate knowledge and understanding of, you can just do 2 if you want, that's fine. Okay, do 2 different ones, and then this is the important part, is your chosen one. So you do 3 altogether. So for example, mine would be teaching, so that would be my chosen and preferred discipline, and then I might choose sports psychology and sports biomechanist. So I talk a little bit of roles and responsibilities of the 2, in my case the 2 minor ones, and then a chosen and preferred discipline, which would be my 3rd one, which I talk about. Alright, and then I talk about the roles and responsibilities for those. So I do 3 altogether, 2 that I probably wouldn't consider front runners for me, and then my chosen one, alright, which is 3 in total. Okay, and like I said, I would expect to see something around these lines of what is their sort of main role, and then what are their responsibilities within that role. Okay, so yeah, any questions on that process at all? Okay, let me know. And I will see you for lecture 3, probably after Easter, and I will talk about the PDP process. Cheers, guys.